No one in the Celestial Dominion volunteered to care for the Emperor's baby dragons anymore. Not after the third palace wing had been reduced to molten slag, and not after the most senior draconic handlers had resigned with scorch marks still smoking on their ceremonial armor, because the hatchlings of the Imperial bloodline were not merely dangerous, they were catastrophic in the way only creatures born of cosmic fire and ancient will could be, and every species in the Empire knew it. Yet when the Emperor issued his decree, care for my children or forfeit your post, every official, scholar, and beast tamer still found a way to fail, until the task was quietly, almost mockingly, assigned to a human nurse from a backwater world newly inducted into the Dominion, a woman named Mara Ellison who had no scales, no psionic wards, no ancestral fire resistance, only a plain uniform, steady hands, and the kind of eyes that had seen fear and refused to bow to it. And when she first entered the obsidian nursery hall where the 4 infant dragons writhed and shrieked in distress, setting the air itself trembling with heat and psychic pressure, the court observers were already preparing the emergency shields, convinced this human would last seconds, because the dragons were not attacking out of malice but pain. Imperial hatchlings were born with minds too vast for their bodies, emotions too large, sensations too sharp, and their cries had shattered crystal and driven seasoned warriors. Mad. But Mara did not scream, did not raise a weapon, did not activate a shield. Instead, she did something so alien to the Dominion that several observers later swore their translators malfunctioned. She sat down on the floor, cross-legged, placing herself at eye level with the nearest hatchling, ignoring the scorch marks forming beneath her boots, and she spoke softly, not in draconic high tongue or imperial cant, but in a low, rhythmic human cadence, a voice used to calming frightened infants. In disaster zones, and when that alone did not work, she reached into her bag and pulled out a small device no one had bothered to confiscate, a children's holoboot projector, activating it to cast slow, warm images of stars drifting, water flowing, gentle patterns repeating. Because humans, unlike most species, had learned long ago that overstimulation could break a mind as surely as violence, and the baby dragons, whose senses were overwhelmed by their own power, hesitated, their flames guttering, their shrieks lowering in pitch, and Mara kept talking, explaining nothing of consequence, yet everything of comfort, telling them they were safe, that the pain would pass, that it was all right to be afraid, and the Emperor himself, watching from behind an impervious barrier, felt something ancient and unfamiliar tighten his chest as the psychic pressure in the room dropped the first time since his children had hatched, and when one dragonet crept closer, drawn not by dominance or fear, but curiosity, Mara did not flinch when his molten-scaled head brushed her knee. Instead, she adjusted projection, dimmed the light, slowed the motion, and began to hum, a sound so simple it bypassed translation matrices entirely, resonating directly with the hatchlings' untrained minds, because humans, as it turned out, had evolved with infants who screamed themselves raw without understanding why, and had survived by inventing patience. And over the next hours that would have killed any other caretaker, Mara applied techniques no Imperial scholar had ever documented. Controlled sensory reduction, consistent rhythm, gentle physical grounding through touch applied without dominance, and emotional mirroring that acknowledged distress without amplifying it. And the dragons slept, truly slept, their fires banked low, their psychic emissions stabilized, and when the Emperor finally entered the hall, expecting to find a charred corpse or a catastrophe, he instead found his children curled around a human nurse like oversized cats, their breathing steady, their minds quiet, and in that moment the truth became undeniable to the entire Dominion. Humanity was not weak for lacking claws or flame. Humanity was dangerous in a far subtler way, because where other species sought control power, humans had learned to survive it, to soothe it, to live alongside it without being consumed. And the Emperor, ruler of 1,000 systems, bowed his head, not in submission, but in recognition, as he offered Mara Ellison a title no human had ever held, Imperial Caretaker of the Flameborn. And from that day forward, human methods were studied, adopted, and sometimes feared. Because if humans could calm baby dragons, what else could they do if pushed too far? And as the story spread across the stars, it became a quiet warning and a proud declaration wrapped into one. Never underestimate the species that learn how to cradle monsters instead of killing them because that is the species that survives the universe. And if you enjoyed this HFY story of human ingenuity, compassion, and quiet strength, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more powerful sci-fi tales where humanity proves why it belongs among the stars.